Hi, General.
Hi, Jim.
General Jameson, Clint McCullough.
General?
Glad to meet you, Mr. McCullough. Did Mr. Bridger tell you what we need?
No, he's been kind of secret about it.
Well, the major part of my command, 120 men, is trapped in an ambush back in Ute country about 180 miles. Now, strategically, they're in a good position to hold out as long as their ammunition lasts. I can't leave those men there to die. I've got to have help.
I see. Where are your men trapped?
Up on Snow Mountain.
At the basin at the foot of the ridge?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, the way we size it up, the men were coming down the mountain when they were attacked.
That's an old Ute trick. They'll wait until your men run out of ammunition, and they'll pick the remains. I took this train 80 miles out of the way to avoid Snow Mountain.
Now, we couldn't do that. We're on our way to Yellowstone.
I see. You had no choice.
Well, Mr. Bridger and I and the men with us went out on a reconnaissance. And when we got back to the outfit, it was dark, and the situation was as I've just described. Now, I was all for fighting our way up the mountain, but Mr. Bridger thought otherwise.
You'd have never made it alive.
Well, you and Mr. Bridger seem to think alike.
I'm not surprised.
Well, Mr. Bridger persuaded me that my men would have a better chance if I came after your wagon train for help.
I see. Well, we've been celebrating getting through that country. I don't know how much help they'll be willing to give you, but I'll ask for volunteers.
I'm not asking for volunteers, Mr. McCullough. I'm commandeering this train.
What do you mean, commandeering?
My men are trapped. I've got to get them out.
Well, you can't just hijack us.
Hijack is hardly the word. Well, you're Americans, and those are American soldiers back there.
Yeah, but 50% of the people on this train are women and children.
In a state of war, all civilians are subject to the call of duty.
This is hardly a war.
When 120 soldiers are fighting for their lives, a state of war exists, no matter what you choose to call it.
I said I'd ask for volunteers, General. That's as far as it goes. You know what I'm talking about. Tell him.
I brought General Jameson here.
Yeah, but you didn't know he was going to do this.
I told him to do it.
You told him?
120 brave lads. And the buzzards are circling. We to do nothing to help them?
I said I'd ask for volunteers.
A show of strength is what's needed, the whole train.
200 wagons riding at Snow Mountain. Soldiers up ahead, flags flying. Them Indians will think we're riding in with heavy reinforcements.
And what if they don't?
Time was when you respected my judgment.
This has nothing to do with respect. You can't ask me to risk the lives of these people.
He's not asking, and I'm not asking. I'm ordering. This is a gamble I've got to take for my men.
You're not gambling with human life, not when it's my responsibility.
I'm relieving you of that responsibility right now.
You'll have to.
Sergeant Hogue. Yes, sir.
Am I under arrest?
If necessary, you will be. Have the personnel of this train assembled immediately. I want to speak to them. Yes, sir.
Flint. Now think a minute.
Our president accounted for, General.
This wagon train is now in the service of the United States Army. We're going to the rescue of 120 soldiers caught back in Ute country.
Well, not right if you got to tell us what to do. We're not in the Army. We don't have to do it. Quiet there. Quiet. Quiet.
What do you say, McCullough? Are you going to stand for this?
Mr. Jameson is a general in the United States Army. I don't respect his methods, but I have to respect his rank.
And you should respect it. All of you. This is your country. And your soldiers need your help now. I'm not a brigand or a highwayman. I'm law and order. The thing that you want most of here.
But we're not soldiers.
You are now, ma'am. Every man, woman, and child in this outfit is now a soldier in the Army. And will be for the next 12 days. I apologize for this inconvenience. Believe me, I regret the necessity far more than you. But understand this. You are offered no choice. In a state of war, the military is in full charge. This gentleman here is Mr. Jim Bridger. For the benefit of any of you who might not know him, The Army considers him the greatest living authority on Indian affairs in the whole country. He's also a great explorer. You all came west by the Overland Trail. Mr. Bridger blazed that trail. You passed by Fort Bridger, and you recently came through Bridger's Pass. Now, in the next few days, Mr. Bridger is going to be riding at the head of this train. Now, that's something you'll be proud to tell your grandchildren one day.
That is, if we live to have any grandchildren.
Maybe it won't be that bad. Hitch up your teams and be prepared to leave in 1 hour. Sergeant Hope.
You don't seem to understand, General. Some of the people aren't physically able to make the trip.
If I make one exception, I'll have to make 100.
What about Mrs. Bedeau? She could have her baby at any time. It's not human to move her.
It isn't human to take any of you. Her husband is young and able. I need him.
I see. And what about the Elliott boy?
I'll have the Army surgeon look at him. Captain Fox is better than any you'll find in Denver.
I always thought that the Army was sent out here to protect the people, not sacrifice them.
I'm not going to argue any longer. I'd advise you to keep your people in order. Any insubordination will be harshly dealt with.
You capture this wagon train. Don't ask me to help you run it.
I won't need your help.
You might need this much. It's a long train. I wouldn't turn my back on a single wagon.
Flint! Flint!
Jim, you do a good job on that boy. In his shoes, I'd be seeing the same things, maybe not as blindly.
Well, I reckon each of us does his duty as he sees it. Sometimes the cost is kind of high.
I'm sorry it turned out to be his train. I know what McCullough means to you.
Figured to be about 8 years old when I found him. A little red-headed sprout trying to dig a grave for his ma and pa. I'll never forget the look on his face that day. He wasn't crying. He was mad. Had himself a powerful, strong anger even then. And when I finished the graves, I said, reckon I found me a son. That's the way it was. Never no trouble twixt us. Never. All them years.
He'll cool down.
You don't ask me why. And right here, we turn out to Snow Mountain. We should be there by sundown tomorrow.
How long then?
Barring accidents, 3 days' journey.
3 days? If my men hold out that long.
Colonel Stacy's an old campaigner. He'll ration the food and the ammunition.
Jim, he doesn't even know help's on the way.
That old war horse will hope right down to the last bullet.
We better keep moving just as fast as we can.
Something's wrong.
Come on. What's the trouble?
Breakdown the 5th section. About 50 wagons held up.
A legitimate breakdown?
A wheel came off a wagon. You can't run a wagon on 3 wheels, General.
Here's like we'd best stop here for nooning.
Don't you think it's a little early, Mr. Bridger?
General Jameson, way I figure it, we better send some soldiers down there to fix them wagons, unless we want to set here for quite a spell. That the way you see it, Flint? Yep. That's the way I see it. There's Snow Mountain. We'll cut straight through.
Any sign of Indians?
No, not yet. People behaving?
Sulking, doing whatever they can to hold us up.
General Jameson,
Yes, Sergeant.
3 more wagons report their loads upshifted, and we'll have to repack.
Dad blast their ornery hides.
That could cost us a whole day.
If they want to play tough, we'll play with them. Pass the order, we'll stop here for repairs. And tell McCullough to come to my wagon immediately.
Yes, sir.
Outfit is getting too cranky for me.
Mr. McCullough. Mr. Bridger tells me that we're getting close to Snow Mountain. You agree with that?
It would be presumptuous for me to disagree with Mr. Bridger, don't you think?
My soldiers are taking care of the latest rash of breakdowns. I'm getting sick and tired of these tactics. I've ordered Sergeant Hogue to pass the word down the line that the driver of the next wagon who holds us up faces arrest, 20 lashes, and possible fine and imprisonment.
I don't think you mean that, General.
I do mean it. Believe me, I mean it.
I wouldn't push the people too far.
I don't care if they hate me. I've got 120 men caught in a death trap. They've been there 11 days. Time's running out.
Threats won't speed up the train, and neither will bluffing.
And you'd better make it dad blame clear that I'm not bluffing. This isn't a war of nerves between them and me. This is an effort to save a company of men. Every hour lost may mean the life of a man or 120 men. What kind of people are they? Must they be whipped like naughty children before they do what's right?
No, they're not children, but they're not soldiers either. They're ordinary people, and they think independently. They make up their own minds about what's right and wrong. And they resent taking orders with a gun in their back. They're free citizens, General, and they've got very strong opinions about the rights of free citizens. They figure the Army's supposed to protect those rights, not take them away.
I've got to have help.
I always thought that help was something that was given.
Sergeant Hogue. Yes, sir. Cancel those orders. Yes, sir. You see, I'm never too old to learn, Mr. McCullough. See, you made it back, Jim.
I told you. No sign of them pesky Utes. Way I figure it, they're all at Snow Mountain. Any more breakdowns?
No incidents this morning. Except for a few pot shots at my men.
Well, we dasn't have no shots. We can't let them Indians know we're here.
Very well, Mr. Bridger. There'll be no more shots. Captain Fox is a doctor. He's at your service.
No, you stay away from my wife. It's your fault that we're here.
That's not important now.
You stay out of this.
What matters now is your wife. Don't be a fool. Let the doctor go in.
I brought many a baby into the world, young man.
Please help her, Doc. Please.
All right, you folks. That isn't the first baby we've had on the trail. Charlie, you get the water boiling. Anything you need, ladies, you just tell us.
We aren't going any farther today, are we?
I don't know. That's up to General Jameson. How about it, General?
Well, it's 3 more hours of daylight. We'll get an early start tomorrow.
All right, folks, we camp right here. Thanks, General. Fine, Charlie.
General?
Jim?
Well, I'm off to get myself a look at them pesky Utes. Be back before sunup.
In the name of God, man, you be careful.
General, them Indians never got me yet.
Maybe not. But I'm uneasy tonight.
Well, I've known considerable generals in my time, and every single one of them was uneasy for a battle.
Mr. Bridger, the Army owes you more than it can ever repay. For that matter, the whole country does. And I consider myself fortunate to count you among my friends.
Well, I'm coming back. You talk like you was telling me goodbye. You look pure tuckered out. A couple of hours sleep will make everything look brighter.
Maybe so.
See you before sunup.
Well, see that you do, Mr. Bridger. See that you do. feel I've seen him for the last time.
Well, it's the night of the battle.
That's what he said. How can two people who think so much alike become divided?
I guess because we have divided responsibilities.
I don't like this feeling. I have half a notion to send after him.
He wouldn't come. He's gone to scout Snow Mountain.
You've talked to him.
No. But nobody has to tell me where Bridger went tonight.
You've held all this against him. He didn't know you were in command of this train.
When he found out, it didn't change anything.
I'm the one that took the train. The command is mine. This shouldn't come between you and him.
I came to ask if your plans are the same for tomorrow.
If they are you going to cooperate?
I offered you my help in the beginning. I didn't approve of bringing women and children then, and I still don't. But we're here, and I'd like to know what's expected of us.
If nothing's changed, the Indians are camped at the foot of the mountain. I want you to line your wagons up abreast. I'm going to put the cavalrymen out front, with flags and bugles, and we'll charge those Indians. Now, if we put on a good enough show, they'll think half the army's with us, and they'll panic and scatter. That'll give my men a chance to get down the hill.
Those men on the mountain are soldiers. They faced danger and death before. They're not strangers to it. And if they survive tomorrow, they'll meet it again. But they chose this life. It's their job. Remember that these people...
I know. Your words haven't left me. I captured settlers and pioneers and brought them out here at gunpoint to do a soldier's job. Now, maybe I didn't have the right to do it. I've been in the army since I was a boy. I suppose I've just lost sight of the gentler ways of doing things. You've given me something to think about. I'll tell you that.
Well, you've given me something to think about, too, General. I lost sight of the fact that soldiering and pioneering go hand in hand, and one hand sort of helps the other.
I've ordered your guns returned. I'm going to apologize to these people. I'm going to tell them my plan and ask their help. Pray to God they give it to me. 120 lives. A whole company of men.
That sounds like the new arrival.
Mrs. Bedell. Come on, let's find out.